Oh boy. Welcome back, regretters, to another episode of Regretful Reads. Today will be truly regretful. Personally, I have never seen the movie Ratatouille, but it seems to have quite the following. I have, though, seen the movie The Incredibles, so this should be fun. Today, we are reading Edible, Ratatouille, Mr. Incredible, by Ken Lestations. Let's get started.
Yas, Big Daddy! That's the spot! Keep going!
Mrs. Incredible boomingly wails, just as Mr. Incredible, at last, hits her G-spot. Encouraged, Mr. Incredible pummels his wife's rubbery ass so hard he would bounce off a meter away from his partner. Their household would shake, dropping objects to the floor caused by the impact of cock to ass cheeks. "Fuck, Helen, I'm almost there," Mr. Incredible informed his lover. Mrs. Incredible looked at her panting husband and glared fiercely.
Don't you dare come inside me, Mr. Accident! I don't want any more children in this house! Jack is already a fucking pain in the ass!
She growled, pointing an authoritative finger at the man. Rolling his eyes, Mr. Incredible pulled out, raced towards his wife's face, and jammed his pulsing wiener into her mouth. Liters of cum shot out of his cock, drowning the woman's throat. Mrs. Incredible's cheeks inflated like a balloon from being pumped by an ungodly amount of man juice. She almost choked. "Shut the fuck up, woman," Mr. Incredible thought. Seconds after, the vigorous intercourse left Mr. Incredible immobile on the bed while staring blankly at the ceiling. His wife turned to the showers while also flashing her delectable buttocks to the man. But Mr. Incredible ignored her.
Is everything okay, honey?
She asked. "Yes, dear," responded the troubled man. Mrs. Incredible shrugged and went to wash herself, leaving her husband still motionless on bed. After being wed, the couple usually commit lovemaking right after Bob Parr, aka Mr. Incredible, arrives from work, taking pictures of Megamind for the Daily Bugle. His wife, Helen, would strip off her garments and waited on the bed hours before her lover would come home. This became a habit of theirs until the present. At first, it's a joyous experience for Bob. Who wouldn't, though? No man would ever deny or elude such surprise from their mate, especially after a hard day's work. But this day in particular is different. Bob sensed something is missing. The sex they had wasn't the same as those in the past. His mind is completely shrouded with discontent. He normally get excited whenever they fuck. He wondered why they died down. During dinner, Mr. Incredible is still in heavy stupor. He mindlessly ate his wife's below-average cooking, as his children, Dash and Violet Parr, making out with burning passion in front of him. Oh no! Even the obscene scene doesn't bother him.
Something is definitely bothering you, Bob.
Entered Helen with baby Jack on her arms. "I said I'm fine," mumbled Mr. Incredible, clearly pissed. Just as he saw the baby that is cradled in Helen's arms, Bob finally got his answer. Helen's pussy is overstretched due to giving birth to 3 of his kids, which he is also responsible for having a poor pullout game. That is why he felt dissatisfied. His massive cock can't even be in contact with his wife's vaginal walls because of how much of a cave Helen's genital has become. The truth has bummed out Mr. Incredible, resulting in him leaving the house for a walk. As he walked, the sky suddenly turned dark and started to drizzle, with the potential to worsen. Without any option, Mr. Incredible darted towards the only place he could take shelter, the restaurant, La Ratatouille. Oh no. While inside, Mr. Incredible figured he'll just eat to pass the time. He ordered baked beans, steak, and soup. The latter meals were very good, but as he took a spoon of beans, a burst of disgusting tangy flavor invaded his taste buds, making him puke out the food. He realized what he almost just ate.
Those aren't beans! That's rat shit!
Yelled Mr. Incredible.
I want to talk to the manager!
He demanded while he walks towards the kitchen. As he pushed the kitchen door apart, behind it, a red-haired man is seen sucking his own cock. Mr. Incredible is sickened even more. How professional. You call yourself a chef, boy? You served me shit, and now you're sucking your own cock? The burly man roared. The skinny chef took notice of the intruder and quickly stood up.
I'm not doing any of those. It's the rat.
He explained while removing his hat, revealing the rodent beneath it.
Linguini, you traitor!
Shouted the exposed rat. I don't know what his voice sounds like, I'm not gonna lie. The rat is clearly seen gripping the boy's hair like it's controlling him. It's making him do its bidding against his will. Astonished, Mr. Incredible yelled, "Perish, vile fiend!" as he charged at the rat. But the creature was too fast. It dodged Mr. Incredible's punch, hitting Linguini instead, knocking him to the corner. The rat crawled all over the superhero and took refuge inside his brief. The agile animal quickly subdued Mr. Incredible by cunningly stroking his cock and fondling his hairy balls, dropping him to his knees. No. Mr. Incredible felt a rush of pleasure as the rat continued to massage his genital. It was what he needed. It's something that his wife had failed to provide. The rat's furry fingers run smoothly as it slide on his throbbing cock. He releases his load delightfully while the rat, mouth wide open, catches the fluids, then swallowing them with noisy gulps. Grateful, Mr. Incredible asked what the rat's name is, and it answered, Remy. Thank you, Remy, for giving me the best sex I've had in ages, applauded Mr. Incredible. Remy gave a flamboyant grin and said, Oh, I can do better, if you let me, Big Papa. Mr. Incredible nodded with approval. The rat quickly bent over, exposing his asshole into the open. It looked eager to be penetrated. Mr. Incredible whipped out his 7-inch erect dong and aims it at the pinhole-sized rat anus. But as he pushed his cock to commence their mating, only the tip succeeded in entering the hole.
Oh, give it to me!
Remy moaned in high pitch.
God damn it! It won't fit!
Cursed the furious Mr. Incredible. I might have to lube you up first, Remy. God. Mr. Incredible then picked up the rodent and started to eat its ass. The anus had an intense flavor. It definitely tastes better than his wife's cooking and the served meals he had earlier. The piquancy made Mr. Incredible go nuts and gobbled the asshole sloppily. You're one hell of a chef, Remy. 5 stars for this anus alone. Critiqued the man. Finally, Remy's asshole is now drenched in saliva. It sparkled as kitchen lights beamed on it. Now for the main course, grinned the perverted man from ear to ear. Mr. Incredible plunged his penis inside the rat, and finally, half of it went in. Squeak, squeak! Oh, no. Oh. Bellowed Remy, as is wriggled in the clutches of Mr. Incredible's rough hands. Pain is only temporary, my beloved rodent, remarked the man, while his face is completely shadowed. The noises of sex reverberated throughout the entire kitchen area, waking the knocked-out Linguini, which then got aroused by the scene. He pulled out his pathetic 3-incher and masturbates at the corner with his hand movements that resemble the famous Italian hand gesture, but upside down. 10 minutes in, the intercourse showed no signs of stopping. Mr. Incredible fucked the rat with all of his might, grunting as he thrust. He's acting nothing like his civilized self anymore. Veins are now more prominent throughout his body, and he's leaking sweat that is emitted from his ballsack and ass. The man at last got what he craved, a tight hole for him to screw.
"Oh, Lordy, you truly are incredible,"
said Remy, squealing. "Shit, I'm about to come," moaned Mr. Incredible. He made a couple more thrusts and eventually ended it by pushing his entire manhood inside Remy. Mr. Incredible's drilling cock burst out of Remy's mouth, driving out a large black rat feces with its tip. Then the loud explosion of cum spurted out. Oh. Afterwards, Remy the rat suddenly cried and kissed Mr. Incredible. "My hero, you cured me from my constipation." The rodent thanked. "Now it's time for you to have an anal blockage as well." Mr. Incredible didn't understand what Remy had meant. He watched as his furry lover went deep into the food storage. After a few rummaging, the rat came back with a bunch of ingredients: beans, onion, beef, etc. Baffled, Mr. Incredible asked, "What is the meaning of this, my love?" The rat replied, "It's impossible for me to yield you pleasure with my puny dick, but fear not, I have found a way to stuff you up." He then winked, erotically. "I will cook you the best edible I can produce and you will have the honor of being my cookware." Mr. Incredible wasn't feeling it at first, but soon, enticed on trying new kinks, so he abided with what the rat had told him to do, like a good dog obeying for a treat. Which is to close his eyes, bend over, and gape his asshole as wide as he can. I think this is making me literally nauseous. Okay. The rodent proceeded to drop chunks of beef inside the man's hairy anus and requested him to clench his ass repeatedly until the meat is grinded and tenderized. Then, he added chopped onions, mushrooms, and shredded lettuce. Mr. Incredible felt all of his ingredients in his manhole and giggled like a sissy girl. Remy smiled at the adorable sight. He continued stuffing and finally poured cooking oil. "You're gonna love this!" The rat took a long steel spoon and shoved it deep down his human cauldron. He stirred gracefully, like the pro chef he is. "Wowee! Remy, that tickles! Ooh!" Squealed Mr. Incredible. The fisting utensil made him blush and heat up. Minutes later, the body heat reaches the proper temperature and cooks the ingredients, producing odor that is both ass and spices. Remy took a taste test and gave the chef's kiss of approval. "Is it finished?" asked Mr. Incredible, all red-faced with pleasure. "Yes, cutie pie," responded Remy. He laid burrito wrap on the floor and asked Mr. Incredible to release the cooked meal onto it. The man squatted and shits down all the spicy goodness. Before wrapping it all together, the rat chef went to get cheese, but alas, they ran out of stock. "Oh shit, no cheese! The burrito ain't the same without it!" he exclaimed sadly. "Does it need to be cheese? Something creamy would be enough," said Mr. Incredible, standing up mightily. He unfolds his foreskin. God damn it! No! He unfolds his foreskin and reveals thick layers of smegma. These are then scooped by his girthy index finger and wiped on the steaming pile of burrito filling. Remy watched in awe as Mr. Incredible displayed full heroism in front of him. But one man's dick cheese isn't enough. That's when Linguini came to the rescue and added his own. This goes to show you that an ordinary man can also be a hero. You guys are the best!" said Remy, crying his heart out. The cheesy burrito is finally done. Its fragrance is atrociously appealing. That fishy, spoiled milk fragrance of spengma will certainly give the food an all-new, never-before-tasted flavor. Even Remy wrote it down for future use. All three feasted upon the Mexican food until there's nothing left. The rain finally subsided. The time has come for Mr. Incredible to return home. He started smiling at his newly found friends before he makes his leave at the kitchen door. The chef duo bid him farewell and a safe trip home. But before Mr. Incredible could reply, an eruption came from behind him, destroying everything, including Remy and Linguini.
What the fuck?
Yelled Mr. Incredible, holding the dead rat in his arms.
Long time no see, Bob,
the perpetrator said as he entered the dilapidated kitchen. The perpetrator is no other than Mr. Incredible's arch nemesis, Syndrome. But something is off with his appearance. He looks robotic and artificial, pieces of flashing metal stitched onto his body. "I thought you were dead," questioned the puzzled Mr. Incredible.
"I was revived by Dr. Emmett Brown himself, and I'm here to get my revenge against you," boasted the villain.
"How did you find me, fucker?" growled Mr. Incredible.
"What can I say? I am your biggest fan,"
responded Syndrome. The two battled it out. Unfortunately, Mr. Incredible was in a weakened state after a hardcore fucking and got beaten down almost immediately. The battered man crawled, breathing heavily, trying to escape with his life. Syndrome stomped the man on his back, preventing his former hero from moving.
"And now the moment I've been waiting for,"
said the evil man while taking out his cybertronic penis, complete with colorful wirings and all over its shaft. It even emits computer sounds.
"It's cool, huh, robotic cock? I saved the best inventions for myself,"
he added. "Buddy, please," the frail Mr. Incredible pleaded. Anger then conveyed on Syndrome's face.
"My name's not Buddy,"
he yelled, thrusting his cock inside his enemy's asshole without even bothering to remove the undergarments.
Ow! Oh!
cried out Mr. Incredible with tears in his eyes. Syndrome took joy in that, laughing menacingly.
"It's bigger, it's badder. Ladies and gentlemen, it's too much for Mr. Incredible."
Too much is correct, for Mr. Incredible is now starting to see luminous lights when the sounds of clapping ass cheeks echoed in his ears. As time gradually passes, he can see the light fading until there was nothing. Syndrome continued to defile Mr. Incredible's seemingly lifeless body, laughing with every thrust. He noticed his victim isn't reacting, so he slapped Mr. Incredible's voluptuous fat ass countless times in an attempt to wake him up.
"I was right to idolize you. I always knew you were tough. And then you had to just go and ruin the ride. I mean, Mr. Incredible fucking a rat? Good lord,"
said Syndrome. But as he spoke, Syndrome fell into a trap. His enemies caught his monologuing while he was speaking. Remy, who isn't dead after all, climbed on Mr. Incredible's head and proceeded to control his motionless corpse. The rat kicked off his retaliation by making Mr. Incredible clench his asshole so tight it crushed Syndrome's android penis, then followed it with some twerking motions to sway his adversary in the air wildly. It happened too quick for Syndrome, as he spun out of control and got thrown at the oven, head first. The deceased body of Mr. Incredible jumped at Syndrome's behind and screwed his pale, dead cock deep inside his foe's anal hole. "Arg! Arg!" screamed Syndrome as his ass rips in half due to the sheer size of Mr. Incredible's mammoth cock. How long is this? Syndrome is corrupted for hours up to the point where his life batteries ran out. He just simply shut down after the bar displayed 0. The victorious rat pushed the entire body of his victim in the oven and burns it. After the deed is done, he hopped off Mr. Incredible's head and cradled his dead lover in his hands. "Our time together was short, but at least it was beautiful," the crying rodent declared as he brushed Mr. Incredible's hair. Subsequently, Remy kissed Linguini and Mr. Incredible goodbye, then cremated their bodies inside the burning building that was once his restaurant. He figured that the structure was too traumatic for him to be left standing, The rat watched as the blazing establishment crumbled to the ground, and the flames reflect in its sodden eyes, while the sounds of fire trucks loom in the distance. The end. Oh my God, I'm so sweaty from being uncomfortable. Wow. Why? For your information, if you don't know, I do not read the stories ahead of time. That goes for every single story. I have a distinguished group of readers that work for me that read the stories ahead of time to make sure that they are not bad in various ways. And somehow this one got through. So thank you, helpers, for that. If you'd like to support the channel, you can go to patreon.com/regretfulreads. Thanks to the current patrons for their endless support and great recommendations. Thank you so much. Wow. Yes. YouTube members as well, thank you so much. You can become a member or a patron, you get an extra video a week, and exclusive perks and whatnot. You get to use emotes in the chat, you get the Discord thing, whatever. I am drained. I am truly drained. But I have one thing left to say. Squid Bob, Part 3. I'll see you next time. Take care.